Hi guys, this is Lada from astrolada.com here with your weekly horoscope. And this is one of the last really hard weeks we have actually. That there were a few in a row that it's been escalating the energy more and more because this is the week of the Saturn Mars conjunction, which happens once every 2.5 years approximately. And it sets a new set of, and it kind of poses a new set of goals and difficult tasks for us to work on. And I'll walk you for each sign what it means because this will affect you for the next 2.5 years. This is not just a weekly prediction, guys. Yes, you'll feel it very strong this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but actually it's going to affect you for almost 2 years ahead because it will define for you what is the thing you really have to work very hard on and kickstart kind of master challenge program. And we get this one installed every 2.5 years when Saturn and Mars meet up in the sky to set a new challenging and new set of goals that we have to work hard towards. So we'll define what these are for each sign. Just a quick reminder, it's the last few days that you can order Krasi webinar on ancient Babylonian astrology, which will teach you remedies, how to remedy love situation, how to remedy money problems in your life. This is astrological magic, the way the Babylonian kings used them. If you believe in Chaldea, Babylonia, that the ancient had more knowledge, this is straight from translated tablets and clays. How to do this? And from medieval astrology, how to create talismans, how to use the stars in astrology to strengthen your horoscope, to increase weak points in your horoscope. And you don't need to know much astrology even to take that webinar. It's only $39, and it's going to be 6 hours, 5-6 hours, a lot of information. You'll receive a book and a manual, so we can start healing process, astrological magic for modern days with Krasiotase, which is on Saturday the 24th. It's 20%, sorry, 31st of March. It's 20% off if you order now, and after that it becomes $49. And just another quick announcement, I'm starting a foundational course again in May the 27th. Every Sunday, every 2 weeks, we'll have a 5-hour webinar on the 12 houses of astrology, house lords, planets in houses, what it means, for example, to have the Lord of the first and the 10th together. It's a Raj Yoga for success, and I'll teach you all those things. What it means to have the Lord of the 12th in the first house. Maybe you're meant to live abroad, So this is very in-depth astrology. You don't need to know any astrological knowledge. You understand the houses the way I know them and learn everything from scratch. It's $50 off. $50 off till the 27th of May. If you order now, after that, it will be $250. Anyway, thank you for listening for the announcements. And now let's see this such pivotal week, guys. Saturn and Mars are joining. The last time they joined together was March or the beginning of April, approximately 2016. This is when my life turned around and changed. So it's another such pivotal time. For some people, it can be life-changing what kickstarts now next week. And now we're like, touting, life-changing transformations. And you're probably sick with that. You're like, you guys, you kind of lead us by the noses. And every week it's a life-changing transformation. It is, because every week is a life-changing transformation for someone. Not everyone gets triggered by all those triggers. They occasionally, powerful triggers that can trigger a lot of people, and this is one of those. Why is that? When Saturn and Mars join together, which happens every 2.5 years approximately, these are the two so-called malefics as we know them, the two challenging planets. So when they join together, they start a new cycle that lasts for 2.5 years, which points in the horoscope what kind of set of challenges are we working through in the next 2 years approximately, until they meet again in a different sign. And they're not going to meet again in the sign of Capricorn till 28 years from now, 29. So it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, I would call it, because when you have two malefic planets kickstarting a cycle in a certain area of your life, this is about you taking no longer any bullshit. because malefic planets, they are cutthroat. They're like, I don't care, whatever. I might have procrastinated till now. I might have taken shit. I might have had no backbone. Now the two bad asses are getting together. It's like the Avengers coming together, you know. And it's gonna hurt where that area of your life it is, but you don't care because you're like Black Panther, you're strong, or whatever Avenger you prefer, Thor, because these two malefics join together and you're gonna be cracking heads and cracking stones together. And even if someone from outside kickstarts this process from you, someone that almost pushes your buttons till, what's that called, your breaking point, this will again be, as I say, breaking point. Sometimes we need to, or rock bottom, hitting rock bottom, or breaking point, or tipping point. Something will push us from outside if we're less conscious about it, or if we need more push, if you're like a bit without a backbone like me. you need a push from outside, or some of you just the pressure and the tension in certain area of your life, and I'll speak about each sign what it is, will escalate to such an extent that you will no longer be able to take it, and you take some cardinal changes in your life in a ruthless way. So let's walk you. First of all, please listen to this part of the presentation. Don't just skip to your sign. I know people are anxious and impatient, but the Saturn Mars energy is about cultivating patience in action. So master it. So let me walk you from that, and then we'll go through each point for each sign. So let's start with the negative things that Saturn Mars conjunction can do together. For the next 2.5 years, they're setting a program of where you're going to be badasses and where you're going to be cracking heads together, bashing heads together, or where you're going to be like tackling difficult tasks for the next 2.5 years, starting from next week. And especially, you're going to get clues what it is about on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. What is it going to be? 1st of April. No. So, let's start from the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th of April. So those 5 days, the whole week we're talking, the first week of April is more challenging, but it gives us very important clues in regards to this opus that we have to do, a grand opus. It's not even hard work. It's like an opus that, that these challenging planets help us tackle, because they're fearless. They're the fearless, yes, they're the painful one, but they're the ones that make us fearless as well and badasses. So we need to be such in certain areas of your life. If you think it's all going to be sorted out with love and peace and hugging trees, not. Even Jesus was, with the whip there in the temple. And sometimes we have to be, of course, not hurting others, but we have to stand up for something, and you have to become strong and badass, okay, so let's see. Let's start with what are the negative things that can appear a lot for you over the next 1 week, and then actually in a certain area of your life, whatever it triggers, when we go through each sign, we'll speak about that as well. So Saturn and Mars, what are they? Mars is anger and how we express what we want and how we express our frustration or assertiveness. Saturn is frustration. Saturn is something suppressing. And imagine like putting a cap on a volcano. When Saturn and Mars go together, a lot of suppressed anger flies around. A lot of resentments can build up. And actually, they've been building up for some time. It's in the sign of Capricorn. It's not something new. It's something that you've had issue with for a long time. Maybe a new person will trigger it now, but it's pressing some painful button in you that you've had for a long time and that you haven't dealt with. It's something you're aware about because it's Capricorn. It's something that it's been in the making, and it's deeply ingrained in you as an issue that maybe you were able to avoid till now. But when now something can activate you, Saturn, Mars together, suppressed anger bursting out, or passive aggressiveness coming to the surface, or just some kind of frustration coming to the surface. So you'd expect next week to see a lot of kind of things that are really pressing your buttons and that are triggering you, and that there is a clash between the two very different energies. Saturn is something old, something traditional, your comfort zone, where you feel safe in your wall around. And you still feel fearful, but you're surrounded by a wall, And Mars is this new energy, this cocky new bravado guy. I'm saying like an inner archetype of energy, and this new energy that wants to break through the old and introduce new things and take you out of your comfort zone, even if it kicks your butt. So there is a clash of old and new that's happening. So big controversy within us, so we can feel more conflicted in certain area of our life. And I'll walk you through which area for each sign it is. But that's the more negative manifestation. You can expect anger. You can expect clash between. So let me write the points so we can walk them through each sign. So the first one is frustrations and anger. I would call it just anger. So we have here. The second one is clash of old and new. And actually, the important thing is that you have to find a way to integrate this old and new. And actually, the old, will have a little bit more of a strength because Saturn is the dispositor of this conjunction. Saturn rules Capricorn. So we have to use old experience of some sort, or the advice of someone well established, or some parental authority, institutional figure, to impose new rules or new regulations, or some new kind of breakthrough. Maybe we'll have to approach some kind of, maybe in order for you to fulfill your new incentives, which is Mars, your new drives and ambitions, which is Mars, you have to go through the established route of Saturn, through some institutions, through some authority figures. You have to respect the already established order. If you want to destroy fully an old order, it's again, you would at least have to use someone else's experience or your previous experience in order to rebuild. It's not going to be totally new from scratch, because Capricorn is about and Saturn being very strong there is about using the old but incorporating the new of Mars. And if you're able to do that, kudos to you. Some of you will be struggling with that, to be taken out of their comfort zone. It will feel. But the good news is that Saturn and Mars are very strong in a sense. They're both in very good dignity in Capricorn. Mars is exalted and Saturn is in its own sign, so they'll act much more, let's say, wisely, and people would act much more. Saturn, they'll use the experience from the past. Maybe they'll even consult advisors, so people with more experience, or older people, parents, or whatever. And they would build upon it something new, which is Mars. And Mars is not so reactive in Capricorn. Mars is exalted in Capricorn because it's tempered there. The impulsive energy of Mars is much more rational, much more practical. It first thinks and plans and then acts out very strategically. Maybe a little bit with more delays. Maybe you'll take you longer to make up your mind on the new things you need to do. But you will follow through. Mars in Capricorn is such a disciplined soldier. Whatever you decide to do, guys, you'll follow through to the bitter end. Because that's why such an important work can be done now with the Saturn-Mars conjunction in Capricorn, because they're both in great dignity. It's not going to happen again. They're nowhere else in the horoscope, both in good dignity. Nowhere else, only in the sign of Capricorn. So when they start, once every 29 years, they cycle together when they join. We can do some job rather than yes, again, we'll have to put efforts and try very hard over and over, but it will do it to perfection, to master it, whatever area of our life it triggers in particular. So we have a rare opportunity for that. Okay, but remember, a lot of frustration can fly around, a lot of clash between old and new. Also, in a negative way, you might feel a lot of criticism. Mars is what we do. Saturn is like an old school teacher that is never happy and that always believes that the way for you to succeed is by putting you down and by criticizing you. So you might feel criticized, or you might feel that people are being too tough on you, or you might be the one in the Saturn form. You might be the Saturn person who is who is dissatisfied with some work that's been done, who is tough on yourself with the work that you've done yourself, or on other people with the work that they have done themselves. So you're being frustrated and you're being critical towards others. So remember, this is also one of the themes. A clash of of new and old, of authority figures with rebels, maybe some new ideas that come from someone with more progressive that clashes with old established rules, then criticism that's possible. So these are the more negative things that happen. Tipping point, rock bottom. Let me write a few. Rock bottom, or let's call it tipping point. I prefer it. Rock bottom is too gloomy. Tipping point will be for some of you. Then let's talk, that pushes you to do something. Then let's talk about the positive of Saturn Mars conjunction. And as I said, it's a rare opportunity because they're both in very good dignity. And Mars is action and our drive and ambitions, and it's our inner soldier. And Saturn is very disciplined. Saturn, when they join together, the high manifestation of those is that you very disciplinedly follow through with your goals and with your ambitions. You kind of systematically, Saturn is systematic, is ordered, is organized. You go about in a very patient and consistent way to follow through with your ambitions. Saturn also indicates long-term goals because it rules Aquarius, another sign that rules our long-term goals and dreams that we work towards over many years. So some goal, whether it's a PhD you want to get, whether it's like you want to build some business, or whether it's like you want to become a ballerina, or you want to have your YouTube channel, some long-term goal that's economically and socially beneficial for you. These are Saturnian things. And Mars is the go, go, go. I'm going to do it now. So now they're joining. So you have a rare opportunity now to start start building, because Saturn, and Saturn is about creating structures as well, and Mars is action. Something that will help you fulfill and that will help you follow almost like indomitably long-term goals. So I'll write here long-term goals. So that's the positive. You can work, you can start like a soldier, very disciplined and very focused. Mars is focused, razor sharp, and in Capricorn it's very consistent. Like razor sharp focus on some long-term goal in your life, which you can fulfill over the next 2 years, 2.5 years, while the cycle of Saturn and Mars continues. Then another positive thing that can happen is that, what is Saturn? Saturn is also depicted by the death. Saturn wants to remove anything which is no longer alive. It's the process of drying out, of death, of desiccation, and the process of death with the sickle taking away those things that are dead wood in our life already. So, and Mars is ruthlessness. Mars is a soldier that is trigger happy and comes and shoots you and gets the job done. No more messing about, no more moping about, no more procrastinating. Something has to be done in your life. Something has to be removed, cut off, desiccated, extricated, whatever word you want to do it. Mars comes with the machete and bam, bam, bam. So there is a good side as well. It's painful. I mean, for example, you had to get off that relationship for a long time because Saturn and Mars join in your seventh house. You knew it. And it's something that is not going to shock you out of the blue, that gets removed from your life, or that you reach a tipping point and remove. It's something that it's been in the long making. Capricorn is a sign that doesn't hit you suddenly, like Aquarius, for example. It's something that's been coming and you've been seeing it, but you've been postponing maybe, or maybe you've been too fearful to set in your ways to remove it from your life. And now Saturn and Mars join together, two malefics, and you're like, badass. And as I said, you come and cutting out ruthlessly the things that are no longer needed in your life. So ruthless elimination, let's say. Ruthless elimination, ruthless removal. So go through all those different parts, and of course the seventh, it's hard work, something that we're working very hard on. Again, it's part of the number 5 as well, working in a focus well towards a long-term goal. But just remember that there might be some, maybe it's more towards the more negative things, but there might be some stresses, hard work, tests. So I'll write it like tests, and blockages that we need to overcome, and tests and hard work. I'll write it more. Hard work. whatever house Saturn and Mars will be in, not only next week, but maybe for the next 2.5 years, you'll be doing hard working. I remember last one was in my 11th house, so I really focused and put a lot of energy. Mars is energy, so it's kind of consistent energy. I'll put that one as well. Saturn is consistency. You bite and you carry on. You calcify something. Consistent efforts or energy. And controlled energy as well. It's about controlling one's energy. And Saturn and Mars, as I said, can make us very angry and frustrated because these two energies are clashing, but there is a way to do it consciously rather than suppress, which will harm you, or rather than go and kill everyone or go and get burst out and volcano, and criticize others. What you do is feel the anger, but control it. Because you have to honor both planets. Both are very strong. Mars is anger. You have to honor it. Something can annoy you, but it can push, but, you have to feel it. Don't suppress it. Don't overexpose it. Control the anger. Channel this anger, which is Mars, towards Saturn is about controlling something. So channel it towards something productive. That's what we can do as well. Channel anger towards something productive, towards something that you build foundations, long-term foundations, and towards some consistent effort of some sort. So we have the planet of discipline, Saturn, and the planet Mars of training. So it can be like unstoppable willpower that you generate, with this combination. I'll write another one. Consistent effort or unstoppable willpower. Mars is willpower. So let's see how everyone will experience it. Let's go through the 12 signs. And remember, it's not just this week. Yes, this week we'll give you clues. Maybe it's already started because they're close already. And who will feel that very strong? Well, Aries, Scorpios, which are ruled by Mars, can feel that they're a bit slowed down by Saturn, that they have to redo things a few times now this week. Maybe it's already started, that they need to be very diligent and try and do things over and over, which is the Saturnian energy they're feeling, that there is some kind of a strong inner or outer critic in their life or authority figure that is pushing them harder than usual. Maybe it's their own authority voice that is doing for that, especially if you're Aries or Scorpio ascendant, to a lesser degree Sun or Moon. Also, if you are Aquarius or Capricorn, then you feel more the Mars energy because your planet Saturn is with Mars. So you might feel more driven, more trigger happy, more easily antagonized, your buttons pushed more easily, more frustrated a little bit and challenged by anger or people that are trying to get you out of your comfort zone to break through your walls. You might feel more ambitious as well and driven to do things and less patient. But remember, everyone will feel this Saturn-Mars conjunction. It's happening somewhere in their horoscope in regards to their sun, moon, or ascendant. So check those 3 signs. Where is the Saturn-Mars conjunction happening in regards from your ascendant, from your sun, from your moon? If you know the unequal house system, check it also from the unequal house systems or Placidus or Campanus from your ascendant as well. You see that it can play out in different ways. So and sometimes it can be fantastic. For example, if you're Aquarius, Saturn rules your first house. It's you, and Mars rules your 10th house of career. So there might be some very important developments when the ruler of your first house, you, and the ruler of your 10th house join together in regards to your career. It doesn't need to be always challenging. It will require hard work again, but let's walk you. Let's start with backwards now. Why not? Mercury is retrograde. Let's do things backwards. Pisces, where it's happening, it's here in Capricorn. I'll just circle the sign that Saturn, so if you have sun or moon in Pisces, or if your ascendant, even the best, the best one to check is your ascendant is in Pisces. So if you have Capricorn in the 11th house, this is for you. So we have Saturn and Mars conjunction, which means it kickstarts a 2.5-year period of you having to work very hard on some long-term goals. The 11th house is long-term goals, but malefics do great in the 11th house. because the 11th house is considered a house of having to work very hard towards something, because it's the house of so we're talking about Pisces now, remember, but it's happening in your 11th house. So the 11th house is the house of long-term goals and dreams that we work towards. And remember that Saturn and Mars can actually make us work very hard towards long-term dreams. So that's a good one that can trigger a 2.5 year period where no nonsense approach to, to following through with some consistent effort and putting consistent energy into some long-term dream of yours, into some socio-economic goal, or into purchasing some kind of a social position, not pursuing some social position relentlessly almost. I can tell you that my biggest successes happened after the Saturn Mars conjunction in my 11th house 2.5 years ago, and socioeconomic successes that they're not just for fame, they are bring you social acceptance. The 11th house is social house, and you bring out the fruits of your work to society to present it, but also you bring some 11th house, the house of gain. So maybe working very hard and ruthlessly and relentlessly with consistent effort and unstoppable willpower at such a process will be kickstarted for you, Pisces, in regards to some long-term goals and dreams. But there might be some tests and hard work that you have to do there. You should be fearless. Saturn and Mars, thankfully, in the 11th house give this fearlessness. But it might be something that triggers you, that upsets you. It might be even someone that says something to you that shames you or upsets you in some way, that makes you be more determined to achieve social acceptance, or to achieve more gains in your life, or to achieve some kind of more financial, socioeconomic, or some kind of titles and honors. It's Saturn and Mars can trigger us into action through less pleasant ways. You can reach a tipping point in regards to some kind of maybe again by some mini crisis, or someone pressing your buttons in regards to some long-term goal or terms of your life, or some friendship. 11th house is friendship or social connection that makes you either eliminate fully that friendship, and you might be doing a lot of elimination of friendships in the next 2.5 years. Maybe because you have to focus more on work. Maybe because you have to focus more on, on some other long-term goals, or maybe because your friends you realize they're not the right ones, they tipping points, so you start disconnecting from them ruthlessly with the scythe, but also it can be a tipping point in regards to you reaching some kind of dissatisfaction, or you're working on some project that you have to basically, that will bring socioeconomic gains for you in the long term, and you reach a tipping point to take it to a next level or direction. You can receive some criticism as well from friends, from your social environment. That's the more negative manifestation. Some clashes that you can have with people in your environment, colleagues or whatever, or friends. You might hear some cruel things, even cruel actions, but they might again be for a good reason, to reach a tipping point. So you start working on your long-term goals, or you start wanting to achieve some kind of title and honor, or long-term goal. You might have to incorporate something new and into an old long-term goal that you're working on. Or you might have to remove and cut with kind of ruthlessly eliminate not only friends, but some unrealistic long-term goal, incentives, and gains on friendships. This is all the 11th house from your life. And again, don't forget that there might be anger associated and frustration with those areas of your life as well. Then we're talking Aquarius. Aquarius, as I said already mentioned, it's happening actually in your 12th house, which is the house of enemies. So let's start with the negative things. If you have enemies behind your back, they might act out now. Maybe even start a bit earlier, but especially hidden enemies. It can reach some tipping point there. Something can manifest through someone who's trying to harm you, talking gossip or behind your back or something like that. So watch your back. I mean, if they're hidden, how would you know? But possibly it escalates now. And it might give you an idea what you have to be dealing with. And this can create, maybe you hear someone's been gossiping about you, can create anger in you. You might hear criticism that comes to you in indirect ways behind your back. Or maybe you reach a tipping point in regards to, because 12 houses, self-undoing habits. And the state of victimhood is also the 12th house, where you feel you're powerless, because the 12th house is this invisible house where it's Saturn Mars conjunction is happening. So we blame others, our secret enemies or powers. We blame God, is the house of God as well. We blame things bigger than us. But it's when two malefic planets join there, maybe you kickstart the process that over the next 2.5 years, you'll be gaining back, you'll be trying to take back your power from feeling a victim of circumstances, so to speak, and especially self-sabotaging habits, which are the 12th house, which we might blame on, fate, and this is how I'm made, but it's our own undoing, let's call. So you can start kind of ruthlessly eliminating such negative habits, walking away and not turning back, and being like, screw you, I've had enough of that. It might be to some relationship that we're self-sabotaging ourselves through, but it can be anything in our life that we're self-sabotaging ourselves through, that we as an Aquarius, we're like, I've had enough with that. Okay, this person doesn't work in my life. This, because 12th house is the house of endings and letting go of things, and Saturn and Mars makes us be badass about that. It might be bad habits, might be addictions of some sort, so you can ruthlessly start eliminating them. Also, you can 12th house, the house of completions and endings. So you might be working towards completing some long-term goals, that you're ending something. So maybe next week already you might have to work very hard on something behind the scenes, 12th house, something behind the scenes that you're completing, that you're ending, that you have to put final touches towards. So Saturn Mars can just be you having to put the extra efforts which Saturn Mars require to complete something. You can receive a tipping point, as I said, with addictions or negative self-sabotaging behaviors. You might have some hidden anger. 12th house is a very hidden house. When Saturn and Mars is there, some past life anger can erupt for you. You might have to deal with anger, not only anger, and it's not only this week, but for the next 2.5 years. What you might be eliminating, what you might be grappling with, is becoming aware and consciously removing from yourself passive aggression, anger that is self-sabotaging behaviors, anger behind the scenes. You might be fuming and almost like, I should not express my anger, I should not. But it might be even anger and frustration and resentments, because Saturn rules resentments, Mars rules frustrations and anger from past lifetimes, or from forgotten things from your childhood that are buried in your subconscious, that are rising now, and you wonder why you're reacting so angry, and you wonder why you're reacting so emotionally to things, and why you feel off. And it might not be anything to do with your current environment. It might be that those two malefics are stirring the subconscious waters of the 12th house, rising them to the surface. So you're releasing pent-up feelings and emotions that have been there for a long time. There is a healthy way of you to do that. Feel the anger, feel the resentment, control it. This is the two principles combined. Or focus it towards removing some self-sabotaging behaviors, eliminating something from your life, ending something in your life, 12th house. Focus it towards and don't forget that for Aquarius, Saturn rules you, and Mars rules the 10th house of career. So there might be some very important developments in your career and social status that are happening next week in particular. Okay, so if you're a Capricorn, then it's happening in your first house. Ooh, Saturn and Mars join in your first house. Guys, you have the work cut out for yourself. Actually, now Saturn entered your sign 4 months ago, but it's the real hard work starts now, and it will continue for 2 years, 2.5 years, because now the other so-called malefic comes. And actually, this can be very stimulating for Capricorns, because Saturn wants to fully, when it transits your sign, whether it's your sun, moon, or ascendant, to fully restructure your life to start a new beginning for you, to build up new foundations, to make you work very hard towards some goal again. Saturn is the sign of materializing and things and building foundations. But maybe you just maybe first you are grappling with your fears and and you cannot really start doing those things until Mars comes and kicks you in the butt and says, time to start. Go, go, go. Mars is the surgeon, the drill master. Mars is the fitness instructor, and Saturn is the master architect. So he's in your sign, and you've been planning, you've been making plans in your head. This is what new things I'm going to start in my life. This is what I have to build over, especially people born, Capricorns born in the first 10 days, basically the December born Capricorns, and Capricorns born in the first, second, third, maybe fourth as well, 4th of January. They feel this more strongly. But it's a kickstart for all Capricorns, because Mars and Saturn will join in your sign just once while Saturn is in your sign. So it's kind of like your fitness instructor is coming now, guys. Or let's say the builders, because Saturn is the master architect. You've been drawing the plans, but maybe you have fears and stuff, and now come the laborers. They come and they swear, and they come and they're rough and gruff, but they get the job done. This is Mars. So it's gonna kick you into that, but you can expect a lot of all this. You can expect that, especially next week, you'll feel more anger, more resentment, something that pushes you to a tipping point to start making new things, or to start implementing those, to start building those new structures. There will be extra tests and hard work that you have to overcome, and the next week will give you an idea of what you have to work on for the next 2.5 years. You have a unique opportunity once every 29 years, starting now, to put a lot of energy into fulfilling and crystallizing and materializing some long-term goal of yours. Saturn is long-term goal, crystallizing, materializing. Mars is putting lots of energy into it. So I hope you take it from the law of vibrations, which can start, which is frustration and anger and dissatisfaction with the status quo, having to add something new into something old. Don't go, something new in the face of Mars by using old experience that you have. That you have to break through your fears, that you have to break through your walls and go into a new direction of some sort and incorporate it on top of what you've created till now. And it can mean a tipping point, a rock bottom for some of you in certain area of your life. Because it's in your first house, it can be in any area of your life, because the first house is your overall direction of your life, your health as well, new beginnings, new initiatives. Actually, starting new goals and initiatives around now they indicate that you'll be working very hard, and you have to overcome a lot of tests there, and you have a lot of consistent effort and unstoppable willpower to put. And actually, the unstoppable willpower, guys, starts for you now, Capricorn. I think manifestation is very strong now, but also be careful from criticism that can come from, all those more negative energy, but all those positive ones are also manifesting for you most powerfully than the other signs. If you're Sagittarius, the Capricorn conjunction is happening in your second house. So you might have, say, if your Sun, Moon, or Sun in Sagittarius, some worries or fears or frustrations or anger or criticism, inner or outer, or some sudden expenses or some difficulties and obstacles in regards to resources, in regards to material manifestation. Something that pushes you to the tipping end, that you eliminate old ways of doing, that you eliminate, and you become ruthless and you say, I'm no longer going to be poor. I'm no longer going to allow, the financial situation to rule me while I can rule it, But it might take you there through some tipping point, through some aggravation, through some expense, that you say, okay, that's it. I'm taking control here, and I'm going to be ruthless. I'm going to work towards long-term goals of creating more abundance or financial stability, of eliminating the unhealthy way of spending money and unhealthy belief systems or unhealthy ways of doing, of perceiving abundance and my self-worth. Also on the psychological level, the second house is your self-worth. So someone might be pressing your buttons in regards to your self-worth, might even make you feel down and might make you feel unworthy. So you are starting the process of reclaiming ruthlessly your self-worth. You might be taken to a tipping point in regards to, feeling devalued, for example, and you're like, that's it. I'm not taking shit anymore. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to demand better pay. I'm going to demand that I'm respected more. I'm going to raise my value. I'm going to do something to raise my value. Or you might have to incorporate some new methods towards old ways of how you spend money, resources that you're collecting for your business, for example. It's not necessarily just money. It might be like where you're getting the resources for your business, and you might have to look to kick you in the butt to find new resources and get you out of your comfort zone in regards to how you make money or how you deal with money or how you spend money. Second house is also connected to family in Vedic astrology. So apply all of those points also to something your family can do. Anger you, and you have to do something new, and you might get some criticism, but you might start some long-term goal in regards to your plans for your family and your security in life. And second house is also food and eating habits. So you might kickstart you into restricting food intake, or into starting to eliminate certain food groups, or into incorporating some new getting you out of your comfort zone in how you eat, so you finally have the willpower to change your eating habits. So money, resources, self-worth, food that you eat, all of those things are subject to the Saturn Mars, ruthless elimination, long-term goals starting to work on incorporating something new and taking you out of comfort zone. Okay. And again, just be careful not to spend too much next week in particular. Not to spend not to destabilize your resources. Be clever about it. Ask some more experienced people as well. Be more cautious about it. Then if you're Scorpio, it's happening in your third house. Actually, that's a quite good house to have the two malefics starting a new cycle. Third house is considered one of the difficult houses in astrology. The house, it's actually in ancient astrology, it's called the house of difficult things. Why is that? Because it's where we learn new skills. Learning new skills is never easy. And two malefics there helps you be more disciplined, more hardworking. In regards to that, I'm sorry. And it can kickstart you, you're in a new training routine, on a new, if you, for example, you always wanted to learn to speak a new language, or you always wanted to learn to drive, or you always wanted to learn to something that you have to learn. Capricorn there, you've had to learn some skill, you've been postponing it. Now Mars comes and kicks you, maybe because you feel frustrated, maybe because you get angry, you reach a tipping point that, okay, enough, now I have to learn to drive, or okay, enough, now I have to learn to use this new operating system at work. Or you see that your business, your website is not working, so you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to change the interface. In third house rules websites and media and communication. Or maybe you see that your marketing strategy is not working, you're like, I've had enough. Now I'm going to eliminate your marketing strategy and start a new one, or incorporate new one on top of the old ones as well, old into new. You might find criticism from clients, because third house is very business oriented house. That is all about how is your business operating, the commercial activities of your business, its sales, its transactions of any sort. So something that might frustrate you there. Or if you're working for a company, if you're a marketer, advertiser, administrator of some sort, and that you are communicating with clients on a daily basis, something there can frustrate. Or the operating systems of a business is the third house as well, and the commercial activity, something can frustrate you there. You can receive criticism, you can reach a tipping point, it can break or whatever. So it pushes you to introduce new ways of doing it, commercial activities. It pushes you to work harder. It pushes you to introduce new strategy. It pushes you to overcome tests and work harder, as I said. It pushes you to put consistent effort into acquiring new skills, third house, into some kind of, eliminating unhealthy or unhelpful business strategies and commercial activities and sell activities of any sort, and incorporate unstoppable willpower into implementing new ones. and follow through for the next 2.5 years. Third house is also relationship with your siblings, neighbors, co-workers, teammates. There can be some crisis there. Someone can push your buttons. There can be some clash as well. But again, it can push you into anger, criticism. Verbal, third house is communication. Maybe someone sends you an email that annoys the heck out of you and you want to answer and put them into a rat's ass, or whatever it's called, the expression in England, where the sun doesn't shine. Controlled action. Remember, take a break. Saturn Mars conjunction, even if you want to explode and hurt people and kind of fight with people verbally, controlled anger, and use it for something productive, and maybe it can be the start of you trying to work harder to build a better relationship with such people in your environment, to fix something, to be more introspective, to fix if you're too reactive, or if you're too unstructured in your communications, to kind of let's say, to temper yourself in communications and to master communications better. But you might be pushed to a tipping point now that you do something stupid, or something to do with communication and information that pushes you to really change over the next 2 years how you're expressing your thoughts to others, how you're structuring your thoughts, how you communicate with others. And again, as I said, it can kickstart some important developments with siblings, relatives, neighbors, and travel of some sort. Be careful if you're traveling, especially with cars, on short trips, while you're driving, especially the first 3-4 days of the week. Then if you're Libra, it's happening in your fourth house, 1, 2, 3, 4. So your family can anger you. You might receive some criticism from your family, or you might be the one that is not happy with something that's happening with your family. There might be too much pressure and hard work and some extra responsibilities, new Mars responsibilities, Saturn coming in regards to your family, in regards to your home, and it's not necessarily anything bad. It just you might reach a tipping point thinking that, okay, I've had enough. My garden is a mess, or my house is a mess. I need to do renovations here. I need to incorporate something new, fix things up. I've had enough, and kicks you into action. Or right, enough. I've had enough of this shit called I'm moving. I'm relocating to a new place, or something like that. Tipping point in matters connected to family, in matters connected to property. If your ascendant sun or moon is in Libra. But you also can start working on long-term goals connected with your family. You can start some big renovation. You can start some big project for relocation. You can start some big project with your family that you're working on, mutual business or something. You can ruthlessly eliminate also things that are no longer serving you around your personal life and about your needs. It's not only family and property. It's, for example, how can you play? You might be trying to sell property and you realize that you have to kind of really step up your game and put a lot more efforts. And or you're working with someone to sell your property and you're like, this person is not doing any good work. You fire them, so you get someone else, in regards to selling your property. Or it can be your emotional needs. Maybe you've allowed people to take advantage of you and you're not talking about your needs. And you've been bottling feelings of anger, resentment, because the fourth house is your feelings. So when two malefics are there, this is painful. Ouch. This is painful. Maybe it's pain that you haven't addressed from childhood time with regards to your mom, with regards to your family. So fights and battles with family can escalate. And maybe they're such that started a long time ago and that you can no longer keep bottled, or someone from your family can no longer keep bottled. So it escalates, it reaches tipping point now in the next 1 week. And actually you have to work on such things for the next 2 years. And this week will show you where you have to put a lot of hard effort and more willpower and control your anger in order to come out of the situation and in order to create more stable relationships with your family in the long run. So if there are such escalations of relationships, even that stem from the past, some people already started feeling it. My husband is Libra ascendant, and there was like a few bursts up in the family that are happening. And it's right around Easter. It's actually culminates. So be careful, guys. But also it makes you feel, because even if it's nothing to do with your family, fourth house is how you feel. So they can feel just more snappy with Saturn Mars. They're more irritable, and uh, so use this irritability to do something around your house and home. Be careful for little accidents around home and house as well. Um, and you can and as I said, new responsibilities can come to you, which can feel a little bit taking you out of your comfort zone in regards to home and family, or with property. And but again, as I said, this can be something that kicks you to take on uh, things that you were afraid to take on for a long time, to confront with your family, with property, and with your emotional needs. You might say, enough, I've been taken advantage of, not only with family, but you just might feel like you've been neglecting your feelings, you've been neglecting your needs, and you kind of strive to consciously put efforts uh, into taking more care of your feelings, or eliminating feelings that are no longer productive for you, and grappling with those feelings. Sometimes, and the mother relationship is important here, the fourth house. All those things can go around this. Okay, you might have to, there might be some difficult period your mom is going through or something like that. Okay, if you're Virgo, it's happening in your fifth house. Well, some loved one, a child, can anger you, can push your buttons more. That you might receive more criticism from lovers or children, or you might be the one feeling more critical towards people, that how they your husband or wife. Fifth house is people that we date, people we're in love with, how we express love. So we might feel like someone is pressing our buttons in regards to our dating life, our love life. We might feel that somehow we're not being treated right in regards to love, and this can bring you to a tipping point. So you stand up for yourself, or you eliminate this person that is. And fifth house is also your self-esteem, so your self-confidence. So if you feel like someone is trampling on your self-confidence, is pressing your buttons, is belittling you in some way, not only necessarily lovers and love affairs and children, all kind of people that can make you feel less than, that can make you feel, that suppress your self-expression and your light to shine, that make you feel less talented than, less intelligent than. And this can escalate now. So you're kind of, okay, I've had enough, middle finger, you're out of my life, or I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to work really hard to create more stable self-confidence in my life. Maybe you have to work on some talents, because the fifth house is also our God-given natural talents, but we have to develop them. They say it's 1% talent, 99% efforts. And Saturn Mars help us put more effort in those creative and natural talents, whether it's intelligence, whether it's mathematics. Everyone has some talent, which is the fifth house. Whether it's seducing people, whatever talent you have. So you have to really kind of put a bit more hard work and work hard towards this talent. And maybe something presses you, maybe some kind of more critical situation starting from next week presses you, makes you determined to make it and to develop some talent of yours creatively, to put much more effort and to work in a long-term consistent matter towards some creative goal, developing some talent of yours. It can also kickstart you to get the passion of yours, because Mars is the planet of action, to kickstart to get the passion of yours developed into some business, something serious, which is Capricorn and Saturn, to put hard work into such things. But again, because it's frustrating energy, it can start in a way that's annoying. Again, so be careful if children are annoying you. Also protect your children more for accidents and stuff like that. That's in worst case scenario, don't worry. But it also can indicate like something that has been kind of constipated or stuck in regards to your love life or yourself, creative projects, which is the fifth house, that Mars joins Saturn now, and Saturn is something that is bothering, is something that's not right, something has to be redone, something that needs to be corrected, and Mars finally kicks you into doing that, and Mars finally kicks you into confronting and saying what you need in love, or saying what you need from your children, or pushing your children or your lover towards something, taking it to the next level. But it might be triggered by some anger initially, or by some frustrated feeling. Just be careful that you don't explode and hurt your loved ones, and that you kind of regret after that you were too impatient. Controlled anger, controlled actions is, there will be some tests and stuff in regards to those fifth house things again, but it's only to strengthen your determination and to make you eliminate the lovers or the behaviors with lovers and loved ones that are no longer productive, the behaviors in regards to following your creative projects and dreams that are no longer productive as well. Okay, Leo, it's happening in your sixth house. Well, that's actually great. Again, malefics in malefic houses, they help you do the hard work that we usually feel too lazy to do. So what is happening? But let's start first with the negative things. Sixth house is the house of enmities and arguments, lack of balance. So this can escalate from next week. Only so you reach a tipping point. Only so you're shown what it's like if you have some enmity or some debt. It can also be connected to that sixth house, so it can be connected to some, health situation that escalates, because sixth house rules all those things: enmities with people, debt situation, poverty situation, as well, victim mentality. 6th and 12th house both are connected to victimized mentality. So you reach some tipping point, feeling victimized of some sort, feeling frustrated and angry, because 6th house is all those arguments, and it's court cases as well as the 6th house, like anything which is out of bounds, health problems, so it can reach a tipping point. You might get frustrated. I'm fed up with that eczema. I'm fed up with that, whatever you have. So I'm going to do something about it. It kicks you into action. So that's the good. That's like the silver lining we find in that. Yes, you can flare up some health problem you have. Yes, it can become very bitter, some court case you're having. It can bring you to a tipping point. Yes, someone can challenge you, some enmity and competition to a breaking point, and to get very frustrated, or maybe even with sixth house, with people, co-workers, work environment can really bring you to a tipping point. Something unbalanced happening in your work environment, or too much work can bring you to a tipping point. But why is that? Well, not only to make you angry and to make you frustrated, but to make you incorporate something new into the old, in regards to your health, in regards to your all those things that sixth house rules, in regards to your work. Maybe even if you receive criticism in regards to those things, it's to make you bring you to a tipping point, so you can, ruthlessly eliminate something from your health, and health habits, and health routines that is not healthy. Basically, it might be a food group you eliminate. It might be a that you kind of said, enough, I cannot do this work anymore. I've reached a tipping point. So now I'm going to work for the next 2 years to make sure that that whatever I do in regards to my work, that it's worth my time, that I prioritize correctly. Or if you're too overwhelmed with work responsibilities and duties, because Mars can introduce new work and duties, responsibilities towards the old ones, the sixth houses work. And you say like, okay, so now I can know it's too much now, too much work. So now I have to prioritize, which is a really important work. Rather than send 2,000 emails a day, I have to send only 20 emails to the most important clients and prioritize the ones that give us 90% of the sales or something. You have to restructure in some way. It can kickstart you to restructure and make more efficient your work environment, your health habits, your relationships with coworkers. But again, it can start through some kind of frustration, through some tests, or through some hard work and hardships. And also it can make you work very hard and consistently towards some new health routine. Wow, fantastic. That's the best manifestation. You really say, no more bullshit. I'm not going to drink anymore. That's it. I'm not going to, you decide to ruthlessly tackle your debt, for example, and you're like, that's it. I'm no longer going to get myself into debt. I'm going to consistently work towards eliminating a debt of my life, or consistently work towards overcoming the competition and introducing something new and restructuring my work in such a way that I'm much more efficient and competitive, so it can work in unstoppable willpower in regards to your work, in regards to your health, in regards to your debts, all those things. Okay. So, but again, it starts frustrating. If you're Cancer, it's happening in your 7th house, Cancer. Okay, other 7th house relationship can be pushing your buttons. Anger. Others might be criticizing your partner, or it might be your clients, or just someone in the face of another that is pushing your buttons, criticizing you, making you feel less than, or making you feel kind of, because seventh house is directly your audience, your public, um, or that a partner puts a kind of, it might be a partner, someone that makes you make a hard decision next week and makes you reach a tipping point. So be careful that you're not too snappy, too reactive, if you don't want to destabilize your relationships and then have to work for 2 years to stabilize them. But you might be in a situation, business or personal partnership, that is not really good for you, that is not really equal. And you've noticed that, you've known it for some time, you know that maybe your feelings are not there anymore with the partner. It's something old, Saturn, that has to be eliminated or change the rules of the relationship or the partnership, but you haven't had the courage or the strength. And Mars comes in, joins Saturn in the seventh house, especially if you're born in the June born, and the first 3-4 days of July born cancers. But for all cancers, it matters. And something comes, presses you, reaches you to a tipping point that you eliminate something unhealthy from your relationship. Maybe not the whole relationship, but if a whole relationship has to go, you'll be ruthless. And this week something kickstarts it, something changes, something makes you feel, okay, no more compromise. Saturn and Mars together, they don't compromise. Or that you have to incorporate something new into the old. If you want to keep the old relationships, you have to incorporate something new into it and build upon the old relationship if it's worth keeping, whether business or personal. But you're taking some important action, Mars, which will try to get you unstuck from a situation that you feel stuck in regards to business partnership, relationship, or client relationship of some sort. Tipping point in regards to relationship. Or it just might be someone irritating the crap out of you. In some cases, not so deep, but it's definitely because you as a Cancer will have to meet the demands of partners, and partners are like a mirror for your weaknesses now, and you have to build kind of a non-nonsense approach towards relationship for the next 2 years. And I think this is the period you kickstart that. If you've been introspective till now and thinking what has to be changed in your relationship and making the master plan with the master architect Saturn for the past 3-4 months, but you haven't taken actions yet, well, Mars comes to join Saturn now. After this week, you'll be taking actions. But of course, some hard work has to be done there. Some tests and hardships overcome. I'm not saying if you're Cancer or your relationship will break up, but something that is not productive there, or how you approach relationship, or how you do it, because it's not you blaming others. It's you. The only thing you can change, you can't change others. You can change your own behavior and how you perceive those things. It can be hard work. It can be done in a way that is not pleasant, that really brings you to a tipping point, but it has to be done. And then you'll be able to hopefully create much more long-term relationship. If it's not with this person, with someone else, or if it's with this, after some tipping point in a relationship, you change some of the rules, even if there's something being pressing you, so you can create a much more longer lasting relationship. And it's for business, this can be quite good because it can push you into being more hardcore in regards to business deals and things like that, and can install. But again, there can be some tensions with partners of any sort. Anyway, Gemini Capricorn is going to be in your 8th house. The Capricorn Saturn Mars conjunction is going to be in your 8th house, kickstarting a 2.5-year period, 2-year period, let's say, in regards to eliminating things that have power over you. The 8th house is the house of power struggles. I don't want to scare you. It's not necessarily scary. Actually, it's about taking your power back. And Saturn being in your 8th house wants to do this till the middle of 2000 and till 2020, for the next 2 years, But now finally Mars joins it to give you the courage to start doing that. And again, we have two malefics in a difficult house. They tend to work better in a difficult house, because they give you the no-nonsense approach to go and tackle that. 8th house is people that we have power struggles with, that we go in some kind of that we've had sudden breakups with as well. So it can help us go and tackle such situations more fearlessly. Or maybe there is something that has more power over you that you have over it. Again, just like the 12th house, the 8th house is connected to things that you're ashamed of, secrets, things that you're hiding, or things that are done in secret. So they have power over you, or things, or someone having some bad information trying to blackmail you and stuff like that. This can be also 8th house and 12th house as well. But and you're like, okay, I'm no longer taking this bullshit. I'm taking actions that I'm no longer vulnerable to such predators or attackers in my life that are trying to harm me. Or maybe it's your own thing, self-sabotaging behaviors. Again, 8th house is self-destructive behaviors. You might be the one that you're creating your own troubles. It's not necessarily it's always someone else. So you're like, okay, I'm taking the power back. And you reach a tipping point and you get angry and you're like, okay, I'm not going to allow this thing to control me anymore. And you know what is the thing that controls you. You're aware of it. I cannot tell you specific. Your specific horoscope will show, but it's something that has more power over you. That psychologically has been feeling like an axe hanging over your head. That's daunting. That you're afraid of. That has more power over you in some way, and you're regaining your power back. You're becoming ruthless about it. You might eliminate whether it's a shameful act, whether it's a shameful habit, whether it's a shameful some secret. You just go to whether it's you hiding taxes. The 8th house is the house of taxes. Whether it's you hiding something else, you go about it to eliminate that thing ruthlessly, so you no longer have to and it might take 2 years of hard work, because it's this whole process is 2 years, but you can see what it is from starting from next week. And of course, on the small level, it can create more power struggles for a little bit for the next few days. Be careful for accidents. Saturn Mars in the 8th house, when operating machines and stuff. 8th house is sudden developments and accidents and stuff like that. But on the long, bigger picture, it's something that you might have great fear, something you have great fear of. You try to overcome it. So the ultimate fear is death. That's why the 8th house rules our fears and death ultimately, and big transformations. 8th house is big transformations, and you have to transform psychologically in some area of your life. You have to that is kind of that has control over you. And now Mars can allow you to be ruthless and to follow through when it joins Saturn, and to manifest unstoppable willpower to eliminate this thing from your life. Or to make your big fears and boogeymans that you have less fearful, to tackle it directly, to do something proactive in regards to that. So if you're afraid of death, start reading and exploring astrology and life after death, or consciously striving to learn astro travel or whatever it is, so you're no longer fearful of that. So you're confronting your fears face on starting from this week, but the work continues for 2 years. The 8th house is also mutual resources. So try not to, there might be some stresses from partners, resources, or maybe clients owing you money, and that brings you to a tipping point and says, okay, enough, I've had enough. This is not how you do business, or this is not how you share mutual resources. And you go and say to your partner, you either find a job now, so you contribute financially, you stop spending ruthlessly, or let's rebudget and make some other plan. You tackle it fearlessly. But again, it's something brings you to a tipping point. Or if it's your resources that you're receiving from others, something can happen like more critical, that you stop receiving those resources. So you have to find some new ways to incorporate into how you're going to get supported from others, or to find new resources for support, emotional, material, finances from outside. Also, you might have to incorporate some new mutual resources that come to you from others on top of old ones, And 8th house is also taxes. So you might be reaching like a tipping point in regards to the stresses, in regards to sorting out your taxes or insurance or inheritances of some sort. You might have to resolve some problems there and overcome some tests, or just put more hard work in regards to that. And it might even spread over the next 2 years after that. Okay, so how you do mutual resources, how you confront deep inner fears, intimacy issues. It might kickstart of you trying hard to overcome some intimacy issues. Eighth house is trusting others, and trusting others enough to allow them sexually very close to you. So if there is something that you had to work on psychologically, and not only sexual issues, eighth house is a very psychological house. So if you have some psychological issues, now you finally go and confront those fearful and fears that you have from the eighth house, But sexually speaking, intimacy, going back to it, this is if something hurt you traumatically that blocked your intimacy. Now it's time to tackle those fears, and not something can re-trigger those pains for you starting from next week. Those pains of letting others close to you and of letting intimacy go deeper and sharing with another deeply. And it's something will trigger all those topics, which is mutual resources, or one of those topics, sharing with another deeply, intimacy. So you can fearlessly face it, and you can start consistent efforts in reclaiming that part of yourself. Okay, if you're Taurus, it's happening in your ninth house. That's quite a harmless house, actually. So it's for Taurus, it's quite positive, I would say, compared, because Taurus, actually, Venus is entering Taurus now. So for the next month till the end of April, Taurus, you're receiving like a lot of support from the universe, because Venus is trying towards to the Saturn Mars conjunction. So it's almost like, well, others are facing challenges around you. You're the one that can help others solve them by being diplomatic, by being chill like Venus, by being easygoing, or by being kind of, by having more luck almost, and by resolving the tension of Saturn and Mars with a more calm attitude, with a more relaxed and soothing attitude, with and some kind of a very good ability to evaluate the situation and see whether it's worth it, shooting your what's it called, like, I don't know, whatever it's expressed. But it's kind of, Venus is the planet of evaluation. Being in your sign, it makes you be more reasonable, more loving as well. And how do we overcome difficult influences? And you're the ones that actually will overcome it through love, or through just being more gentle and having more luck to you, or it's just some kind of help that comes to you, and you helping others as well. But let's see, still the Saturn Mars conjunction is happening in your ninth house. Ninth house is your beliefs. So there might be some clashes with others, some frustrations, or someone might be attacking your belief systems or your worldview, your political views, your ideologies. So there might be some clash of how you see something happening, how you believe something has to happen, how you believe something's right and wrong, some clashes, moral clashes with others. The ninth house is morality, what you consider ethical. So be careful with the anger, the frustrations there. You might have to balance between that, but thankfully Venus is in your sign, so you have the charm. Another thing that can happen is that something in regards to higher education can put a lot of pressure on you, whether it's taking some classes, courses, pre-qualifying. Something can push you to a tipping point to decide to pre-qualify and continue your higher education, maybe do an MBA. Something can really, by criticism or by pushing you out of your comfort zone, can make you feel, okay, enough. Now I have to learn to do something new, or I have to go back to school, or I have to up my my qualifications of some sort, or I have to study hard. Some of you just might have to study hard for university to get accepted somewhere. But be careful, again, that you don't antagonize others with very powerful statements. Again, I think Venus is helping you for that. If you're in a foreign country, or if you're somehow traveling, if you're traveling, if you're working in a foreign place, if you're far away from home, this is your ninth house, so there might be some, or if you're trying to get documents to stay in a foreign country, this is the ninth house. So if you're working on some legal matters, ninth house is the legal matters, the legal system. There might be some escalations and complications that you have to be more aware, you have to be more cautious, so you have to put more efforts towards, and it might continue for 2 years ahead, but now it kind of starts now, and it's required for you to start putting the efforts from now. And as I said, though, this combination of Saturn and Mars, especially in Capricorn, can develop unstoppable willpower and consistent efforts in regards to achieving the goals of this ninth house. Well, the ninth house is to graduate, to get some great qualifications. If you're doing some international business, if you're working with foreigners, you can have unstoppable willpower to restructure and to bring in something new on top of the old. In regards to anything to do with foreign countries or legal matters. Well, it might be stressful. It might be bringing you to a tipping point. It might be others confronting you, might make you reconsider your belief systems, and might make you kind of make you come out of your comfort zone and start exploring different belief systems of some sort. And through first some crisis happening, maybe someone challenging you what you believe in, and you first resist, but then you start thinking, okay, there's something here. I have to look at things from a different perspective. So that's another way it can play out. And court case battle, sometimes ninth house, legal, arranging some legal matters as well might be also happening. And ninth house is your long-term plan, your goals. Your plans for the future. It's similar to the 11th house in some way. But the ninth house is how you envision the future. So something you might have to eliminate something there. You might have to eliminate something connected to your plans that is not working out, and restructure the plan and change it in some way, So, or ninth house is relationships with teachers and fathers. So there might be some clash with such authority figures. So such might be eliminated from your life, or old belief systems. As I said, you might be ruthlessly trying to eliminate them. Okay, so if you're Aries, it's happening in our 10th house. Okay, authority figures might anger us. We might have clashes with bosses or institutions or authority figures, or someone who tells you what you have to do, and you're like, again, it's also father figures, the 10th house. You might have to, receive some criticism from people in authority. Or if you're the boss yourself, you might be the one that is feeling quite critical towards the work that's being done, towards that you're feeling quite critical towards yourself as well, and pushing yourself harder. You might reach some tipping point because of those provocations from outside or from within, tipping point that makes you incorporate something new into your career. But you see, you as an Aries, you are Mars, and Saturn rules your career. So something very important will be happening in regards to your career in the next, week. That will actually show you the developments of your career, or the direction your career is going towards, and what you have to grapple with and overcome and achieve over the next 2 years, and what tests you're going to have there. So if something happens in regards to authority figures, you have to work more on that. If something happens in regards to you signing some very important contract, or for your business, or your business expanding, or maybe restructuring of some sort, you know that you'll be putting a lot of consistent and hard efforts and unstoppable willpower in regards to that career project for the next 2 years. Or there might be some very important, it might be even, for example, if you're looking, especially if you're Aries ascendant, if you're looking for a job, now it might be some very important development, because the ruler of the first you is joining with the ruler of the 10th. But again, it will mean that this job will have a lot of extra work for it. This career will have a lot of responsibilities and duties, will require a lot of energy that you put into it, because it comes through the energy of 2 planets that work very hard and that really have to break through barriers. But if any kind of a more crisis situation happens in regards to your career, this is only for you to reach a tipping point or rock bottom in order to make you set up some new long-term goals in your regards to your career, to give you newborn resolution to fix something, to change it, or to put a lot more effort to change something in your career, and in your goals, basically. And even if there's some tests and hardships, they mean that you just have to be more consistent and show more willpower and put more energy in order for you to develop or to kind of improve that area of career. But remember, some clashes and anger might be possible. Yay! There we go. Thank you so much. That's what Saturn and Mars try to teach us. Lot of energy, put a lot of energy into something, but be consistent and follow through. And don't shoot all your bullets at once. Consistent, gradual, step by step work with and spread out the enthusiasm. Don't put it all at once. Step by step, over time, and also be patient. Patient control of energy. It's a difficult task to do, but you see how it can help us eliminate, say, for areas, it can help us eliminate unnecessary career goals and stuff. Can become more ruthless, no nonsense, no bullshit in regards to their career. For cancers, they can become no bullshit. This is it. This is what I want for my relationship. I'm not gonna compromise anymore. From Virgo, in regards to their love relationships or children, their creative projects. For everyone for Aquarius, it might be in regards to their self-sabotaging habits, that I've had enough. For Gemini, as I said, they become no nonsense and badass in regards to, I'm not gonna let this thing to control me. I'm gonna tackle my fears, my biggest fears now. You see, finally, it's just gonna empower us more. It's just gonna give us a stronger backbone. But the process of getting there kind of sucks and it's a bit painful. But we have to do it. We can't be just all peace and love, and otherwise we'll be in heaven. That's what heaven is for. That's where the other dimensions are for. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you for bearing with me through all this presentation. Don't forget, check out the new webinars. Check out my course for 12 weeks on the houses in astrology. If you think I'm teaching you now, you have to be present at one of my lectures of 6 hours to hear how much more in depth we go. I keep the really, really esoteric and powerful information for classes. Okay, so thank you so much, and I will see you next week.